People's lifestyles are being pushed to the limit. As a result, Canadians are eating out in restaurants more than ever. But are those dining establishments safe? And are those who are being paid to protect the public doing an adequate job?
And when you look at the potential exposure that the public would have, just because we are eating out more frequently, that if food is handled incorrectly, there's greater impact to the public health. As a result, we're looking at a number of people that can become ill, and if we're dealing with very susceptible populations or a very severe illness, the ramifications could be unfortunately deadly.
All restaurant inspections are listed on the Alberta Health Services website. Here's a list of restaurants with some of the highest counts of health code violations in the last 16 months.
That's pretty gross. I wouldn't feel very comfortable going into too many restaurants without knowing this information beforehand.
Some of the most disturbing violations came from the Thuan Hoa Vietnamese restaurant. It had 13 health code violations in just over 10 months. According to Health Services, it appeared the restaurant used the poisonous WD-40 lubricant on its meat slicer. A mouse skeleton was found in a cupboard, and droppings were found on numerous visits, including in the dry food storage area. Shrimp was being stored next to ready-to-eat salads, presenting a dangerous allergy concern, and raw meat stored directly over vegetables in the walk-in cooler.
If I have my raw hamburger meat and I store that directly above my salad, if any of the juices or liquids or blood that drips from that raw meat onto the salad below, we have potential for cross-contamination.
Restaurant inspectors say raw chicken was left lying out. Doctors suggest contaminated poultry can cause salmonella and E. coli disease. When CTV talked to the owner of the Thuan Hoa, he was upset at Alberta Health Services, commenting, quote, "It's not okay that people have access to my health inspection records online," unquote. The Mandarin restaurant had the most infractions of any restaurant in Lethbridge. It had 32 health code violations in a period of only 6 months. We tried speaking with the owner of the restaurant. He threatened to get a court injunction preventing CTV from filming his restaurant. According to health records, there were numerous uncovered containers of raw meat stored on the floor of the cooler. Sweet and sour ribs were being kept in old chemical containers, and rodent droppings were found on storage shelves. Inspection records state that the food was not being handled in a manner that made it safe to eat.
Oh, I'd feel disgusted and just outraged that I actually ate stuff from that restaurant.
I think initially you're very nauseous, it would make me feel. I'd be appalled that something hadn't been done about it further. Like, to me, that would be grounds for a restaurant closure.
It's our job then to follow up on those facilities that are having historical problems, to bring them into compliance, and if they're not brought into compliance, that we take that enforcement action.
I mean, I understand that there's a role for health inspectors in terms of trying to help somebody, understand and educate, but it sounds like this is far past an educational process.
Without speaking about any of these restaurants specifically, Alberta Health says they target the biggest offenders with education, then warnings, and in the worst case scenario, forced closures.
We will be proceeding, I can say, with charges against a facility that we've tried the education route. We've brought them in for food safety education. They've been able to demonstrate to a judge that we've done everything we possibly can.
In the course of this investigation, CTV determined that Alberta Health Services had posted potentially damaging and erroneous information regarding an unnamed restaurant, then left that information up for days after the error had been pointed out.
This is the best system that we can come up with, the computer system that we have. Is it perfect? No.
Now that I know it's online, I will be more, susceptible to going online and investigating restaurants before it, because you never really think about that.
Everyone we spoke to agreed on one point. The Alberta Health Services has a tough job to do in protecting the public. Health inspectors say their mandate is to reduce the amount of foodborne illnesses that are passed on to the public, but that they can never eliminate them completely. Michael Popove, CTV News, Lethbridge.